Erev Tov, everyone. Until now in the Chumash Breishis, we have, so to speak, clear lines drawn regarding the people that are involved. From the beginning, from Cain and Hevel, so it's clear that Cain is the murderer. From Noach to his generation, so Noach is the Ish Tzaddik, and the rest of the generation, Roi v'chatoim ma'od la'Hashem. Then we come to Avram Avinu. So Avram and Sarah are one thing, and that's why he's called Avram Ivri. Shehu kulo me'ever echad ve'olam me'ever sheni. He's on one side and the rest of the world is on the other side. Clear delineation. When it comes to Yitzchak and Yishmael, so it's also a clear delineation. Hu yeh pera odom, yoda bakol, yad kol bo. Yaakov and Esau, there's again a clear delineation. Esau is ish sode, Sayid b'fiv. Yaakov, excuse me, ish tom yoshev oholim. Yaakov and Lavan is clear. But when it comes to the Shvatim, then the whole line is erased. In the dispute between Yosef and his brothers. So a case can be made for both sides. And we see now that Yaakov Avinu comes at the end of his life to bestow his blessings upon his sons, upon his children. And the nature of the blessings is that each one is individual. There are no two the same. So Yisachar may be the Talmid Chacham, Chamor Gorem Roves Bein HaMishposoyim, but Don is different. Don Yodin Amot. So the ability to allow for different personalities, different futures, so to speak, for one family lies in the brachos of Yaakov Avinu. And it lies, even, we say bracha, so Reuven, Shimon, and Levi didn't get such a bracha. But even criticism is a bracha because they're included in the family. They were not written off. And it says at the end, that Yaakov Avinu blessed every one of them. So in effect, he told Reuben and Shimon and Levi what they have to watch out for in their personalities. It's one of the ironies of Jewish tradition and history is that Shevet Levi becomes the holiest of the Shvatim. The Shevet that it's Klei Chomos Mecheraseim, V'Sodom Maltovo Nafshi, and all of they become the buttress of holiness in the Jewish world. They're the Kohanim, the Levim. They're the Shluchei Tzibur. They're the ones that carry the burden. So that's the recognition that Yaakov Avinu bestows upon them in his final words, to be able to point out the differences and to point out the potential pitfalls that exist in each one of them. Because every person has a certain netiya, a certain tendency towards some thing which may not be proper, and to warn about it so that they would not fall into that trap. I mean, if you have someone that's invited to your home and you know he's an alcoholic, you lock up the liquor cabinet. You know what the problem is. And it's that way with all of the different safeguards that exist in the Jewish world in many different matters. It's simply because of the fact we're aware of the problem. We want to avoid the problem, and therefore to avoid the problem, you have to drive defensively. You cannot just ignore it. So all of these brachos, the words that Yaakov Avinu uses here, are meant to delineate their personalities, who they are, what their strengths are, and what their weaknesses are. So we will see later, for instance, we just finished the celebration of the holiday of Hanukkah, so that the Bnei Levi did that. And they did it with the sword. They did it again with might and military power. But it was channeled for the right cause. So that was part of their personality. Chazal say, Kohanim Zrizimein, they're energetic, they're active, they're measured that way. And then there are those who are more placid. There are those who have a tendency towards study. They're the Chamor Gorem, they carry the load. So in the 12 that are described, because in Menashe and Ephraim both represent Yosef, but we have all the different personalities that can make up a people. The people are not monolithic. It's not one type. It's one of the great errors of all totalitarian societies, is that people are robots. They're all the same. You can mold them and shape them, pass all sorts of laws and enforce it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't work. Because the nature of people is that people are different. And what makes, therefore, the blessings of Yaakov Avinu so important is this fundamental recognition that in the same family, raised in the same manner, you have this extremely wide variety of personalities, of behavior, When you put it all together positively, it's an enormous force. But if you're not willing to grant it, so then it becomes a source of discomfort. Anybody that's in education professionally, so you have a classroom of students, and I don't care whether they're first graders or they're in the kollel. If you treat them all equally and you look at them all equally, they should all be the same, so then you're not going to be such a good teacher, because they aren't. And it's wrong to expect them to be all the same. And the greatness of a teacher is to be able to identify what makes each student tick in order to be able to concentrate on that. I know from my experience, I had wonderful rabbeim who were able to do that. You knew what to do with people. They didn't put them all into one cookie cutter mold and say everybody comes out the same. And maybe that's one of the reasons Jewish tradition had that the blessings of Yaakov Avinu to his children were taught in Cheder, and they were memorized. There were two things that were memorized: the Shiras Ha'azinu and the brachas of Yaakov Avinu. And because in both of them are the fundamental issues of life, the recognition of human beings, the recognition of the Jewish people. We have a tendency, unfortunately, to put everybody together, to create that force. So, for instance, we all know the midrashim about Zdom, which is conformity, and the Medrash represents that as being a bad thing, and yet we somehow like conformity in all other respects in life as well, without realizing that it is a negative thing. So that's true within families, within educational institutions. It's true everywhere. It's true in commerce, in businesses. When J. Edgar Hoover was the head of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, so he wanted every agent to conform. And he built a whole myth, but as has been proven lately, it was just an outside picture. Inside, it was corrupt and rotten from the beginning. It was all public relations, because not everybody is the same. And that is something that has to be thought about. It has to be recognized. And we have to always deal with it. We have to deal that the Jewish people are 12 separate tribes. Everybody has their own view of things, but we're under the umbrella of Yaakov Avinu. We're under the umbrella of Torah. We're under the protection of tradition. But the tent is a very big tent. There's room for lots of people. And therefore, the Torah goes out of its way to record for us these brachos. We'll have the same thing by Moshe Rabbeinu when he passes away. There he's already dealing with millions of people. But it's the same basic idea that the Shvatim are different and that each one has what to contribute, and that together, that's how Klal Yisrael is built, and strengthened and preserved. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Yisrael V'ficha Chirba Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar Adonai Chafetz Man Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir.